Hi, grade 3s and 4s. Okay, so this is my workspace I'm going to be using to show you fractions when I'm here in the classroom. So it's really big. Yours at home won't be as big, and that's fine. When we go to learn each of the 4 ways to represent, I'll zoom it in a little bit, okay? So in the videos prior to this task, I asked you guys to look at a video about learning how to identify the numerator and the denominator. So I said, remember on the anchor chart, I said D is for down. So denominator is your bottom number on your fraction. Your numerator is your top number, okay? So basically your denominator is how many parts to the whole. So in this fraction, if I were to cut a pie into 4 pieces, that's how many pieces represent the whole. There are 4 pieces to give. This number, the numerator, represents how many numbers you have eaten or given away, or what is represented as far as that fraction. So we'll elaborate on that in a minute. You're gonna understand what that means in a moment. Now, fractions can be written in different ways. So most of the time it's over a straight line, but if you're on a computer, sometimes it's gonna go like this. It's gonna go slanted, okay? Just like that. So either way is an appropriate way to represent a fraction, okay? All right, so if we were to actually look at each of these ways to represent a fraction, we've got the fraction circles, and there's 2 ways I'm going to show you with 2 different fraction circles. One's got the numbers, the other doesn't. Fraction bar, I'm going to actually show you how to draw the bar. It's easy for even numbers, a little bit trickier with odd numbers. Parts to a whole, because remember fractions are all about parts over a whole. Okay, so now you can use Lego, you could use Play-Doh, you could draw them and color them, it doesn't matter, however you want to represent your parts to a whole. And then your fraction line, I'm going to teach you how to do that as well. But on your fraction bar, you could really use things like Lego. You just have to make sure that they're the same size, and you have to make sure that you're representing your fraction properly with the right colors. So we will do that in a moment here. Here's one I can use to show. Nope, that's not good. If I can find another piece. Here we go. Okay, so fraction bar. Let's start with that one. So my fraction is 1/4 or 1/4. Okay, that's how we say it. And we're going to learn those ways to say those numbers at a later date. But right now we know it's 1/4 or 1/4, 1/4. There's many ways you can say that. So if I were to actually use a fraction bar with Lego, this is what it would look like. Those are 2 different color reds, and one's got holes in them. But that is my fraction bar representing 1/4. 1/4 of my fraction bar is blue. Okay, so you could use Lego to show that, or you could draw it. I'm going to show you how to draw it. So it's just like a regular bar. It's easy to do with even numbers, because with even numbers we know there's an exact half. Okay, so how many pieces do I need in my fraction bar? I need 4. Right now I only have 2. So then I can take this half and I could split it in half, and I could take this half and I could split it in half, and I now have 4 pieces. So I have my denominator. I have 4 pieces to my whole. To represent 1/4, I need to show one of those bars in another color, and it should never be in the middle or the end. It should always be at the beginning. So I don't want you to color that one randomly or this one randomly. It could be this one, it could be the end one, but we should usually we should get in the habit of starting at the beginning of our fraction bar. So there you go. That fraction bar is representing 1/4. All right. Now if we go up to the fraction circle, I've got ones with numbers and ones without. The ones with numbers are good because you're learning. So each of these circles represents my whole. Okay, this is my whole number. This is my whole pizza, my whole pie. But what I want to do is I wanted to split it into a fraction. I want to show 1/4. So with my numbered pieces, I could show you 1/4. That is 1/4. If I had all 4 of these on here, I'd be showing a whole number. I'd be showing 4/4, which is a whole number. That's 1. 4/4 is a full number, it's 1. Okay, but I only want to show 1/4, so I need to take 3 of these away. So if I came along and ate 3/4 of the pie, 1/4 would be left, okay? If I were to show it with the fraction circle that doesn't have numbers, this is what it would look like. Same thing, just does not have numbers. It could be on this side, it could be from the bottom, it could be on any angle. It's still representing 1/4, all right? So that's how you do a fraction circle. Now you could draw this, because I know you don't have fraction circles at home, but you could simply draw this. So you could draw your circle, you could split it into 4 pieces, and then you could color or shade in a 1/4, okay? Now, parts to a whole, you could do this with Lego pieces as well. So you could do 3 yellow pieces and 1 red to show that 1/4, okay? You could draw it, so I could draw it with my whiteboard markers. Same thing, I'm showing 1/4. So 1's going to be orange, the other 3 are going to be another color. That is still showing 1/4, or you could use Play-Doh, however you want to represent that fraction. Now, the fraction number line is a little bit trickier. So same with our fraction bar, okay? So we're gonna split this fraction line like we did our fraction bar. We're gonna split it right through the halfway mark, because that's the easiest to start, okay? So we're gonna split that halfway, okay? Now, our fraction number line is always gonna start at a 0. So I'm gonna put a little tick there to start at 0. And it's always gonna end at 1 because 1 is our whole number. Okay? That is our whole pie or our whole pizza. 1 represents our whole number. Anything else on this fraction line is going to represent the parts of the whole number. Okay? So if we're looking at the fraction of 1/4, we need to have fraction lines. We need to have 4 chunks in our number line. 1 chunk, 2 chunks, 3 chunks, 4 chunks, because 4 is our denominator. So we need to make sure that we've got 4 chunks of our number line. All right? Now, we can go ahead and plot 1/4 on here. If that's 1/4, this has got to be 2/4 because that's the halfway mark. Just like a number line, 1, 2, 3, 4, but now we have denominators. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to plot 3/4 here. Okay? And then the 1 is really representing 4/4, 4/4. Okay? If you were to divide 4 by 4, 4 divided by 4, it equals 1. Remember in that video, the mathematician talked about how fractions are really all about division. You're dividing a number into its parts. Okay? So the 1 is really 4/4. Everything below that is a fraction. Okay? So if you look at this 2/4, what do you notice about that line? If you were to describe where that line is, how would you describe where that line is? This line is halfway. It's halfway. It's exactly in the middle. Okay? So 2/4 is really the same as saying we're halfway. Grade 4s are going to learn that when they do equivalent fractions. But we're at the halfway mark when we are 2/4. Okay? 2/4 would really look like this. Check this out. 2/4 would really look like this, which is half of our pizza or half of our pie. Okay, so that is the middle of our number line. And then we plot the rest of the fractions on the rest of the ticks. Okay, so if we were to show a 1/4, 1/4 on the fraction number line, this is what it would look like. That is 1/4. If you're using Play-Doh, you could also take a piece of Play-Doh and you could spread it out across your number line as well. if you want to be a little bit more hands-on. Okay, so that could represent your 1/4. So whatever materials you want to use to show your fraction in 4 different ways. All right. So that's 1/4. We're going to stop and we're going to come back again and I'm going to give you a new fraction.